Hello, community. Welcome to the first episode of TeQh Talk, a Quantrics video series where we talk about anything and everything about tech and its future. For this year, we'll be sharing future ready skills. And we're so happy to have with us Quantrics IT Development Manager, Fred Borras. He is an automation evangelist and a strong proponent of digital transformation through effective automation's implementation. He's also one of the earliest adopters of intelligent automation across multiple industries, functions, and businesses. Again, please welcome Fred Borras.
Thanks, Jane, for an introduction, and I'm very excited to be here. So, I'm Fred Borras. I'm one of the senior managers for Quantrics IT Shared Services. My program primarily focuses on development of robotic process automation projects, together with full stack development as well as database administration. So, yeah, happy to be
Yeah,
here.
well, and we're also happy to have you with us right now. And again, for the first episode of our Tech Talk series, we'll be touching on the intelligent automation and robotics. It sounds really cool, but what is it? Like, I'm not a super tech guy, and the topic is remarkably interesting, especially for those looking towards a future correct in tech field. We actually prepare some questions for you, Fred, so we could actually relate into the things that you're
Mhm.
doing. So I guess we can start now.
Let's go.
Awesome. Okay, great. Now, for your first question, can you tell us what robotics process automation is?
RPA, or robotics process automation, in RPA in layman's terms, is the automation of any business processes, right? So think of it as any task that you do, whether by using your laptop or using your company desktop, machine. It can range from your primary role of working on transaction items
Hmm.
or your daily tasks, or it can be as broad as coordinating one information from one medium to another. And it can go as simply as just generating a report, right? Daily, weekly, monthly. RPA can help with that, right? So you think of it like anything that you do, anything that you work on using a computer can be automated. So if you think about it, RPA is an advanced form of business process automation, right? Where anything that is being done manually by an employee or by a human can be substituted with a software robot, or what's being called by the industry now as digital worker.
Digital worker, right?
Yeah.
I see. Well, it sounds really helpful to some of the businesses, but
Hmm.
how does RPA help modern business functions?
So, modern businesses have utilized and leverage RPA to deliver their products and services better, right? So if you think about it, if you're doing something manually before and you have that automated, right, it can only yield you better things. It could be faster, the quality could go up. Uh,
Right.
some even say that it's the new generation of workforce, right? Where tasks, deliverables, and are not only completed by an employee or by a human, but with the help of a software robot or a digital worker as well. So we've seen businesses thrive from maintaining their cost structure to
Hmm.
improving the quality, the overall quality of their services, and uh, delivering faster and better products in the market by leveraging the technology itself, right? So you can have faster delivery, error proof delivery using intelligent automation. And I've mentioned workforce earlier, right? So a lot of the companies who are thriving now have employed this strategy of a hybrid workforce. You still
Hmm.
have your human employees or your resources, but with them is an army of digital workers that help them go through all the tasks that needs to be done. So if you think about it, any tasks that doesn't yield any value to the human itself or the employee itself, right? Repetitive tasks, labor intensive tasks can be given to the digital worker, and you can have your employees focuses their effort on more meaningful and contributing deliverables or tasks for the company, right? So all of these are being done and being implemented by a lot of businesses now. And
Hmm.
recently, there's an emerging concept of intelligent automation, which propels the whole effort and context further on integrating the whole hybrid workforce.
I see. Well, as you explaining it, it's actually like an extra hand to some of the businesses. It's actually very efficient, as you explain it. But what makes automation intelligent?
Well, I'm glad you asked, JM. So
Hmm.
there is a continuous advancement in the realm of automation, right? Just like any other technologies, if you think about it, right? From the conception itself, it only starts this way, and then after more people adopted, or after the increase of adoption of the said technology, you'll find new use cases and new opportunities for people to use the technology with, and that's when it branches out or it expands. So RPA started that way too, wherein you started with the basic concept of automating tasks that are being done mundanely by human or by employees,
Right.
and now we've uh, we've integrated a new suite of technologies centering around the concept of automations, and that's what intelligent automation is all about. And
Hmm.
what makes an automation intelligent is we can use this analogy, right? So if you think RPA is as your robot, meaning that that's your hand, the one that executes what you need to do. So if you think of a physical robot, it's like the hand of the robot itself, the execution.
Hmm.
Adding a brain to it, right? Adding some sort of a brain to your robot, let's say artificial intelligence or
Hmm.
machine learning. Now you have a brain for your robot. Adding a vision to it, like an eyes, right? Using some sort of intelligent document processing, OCR, and a lot of the new technologies centering around it that reads documents. Now you have a robot with a brain and an eyes. But we don't stop there, right? Now you want to at least have a
Right.
conversation with a robot. You want to have the
Right.
the worker, the digital worker itself communicates with you. So that's when you
Right.
integrate other emerging technologies such as NLP or the natural language processing, which adds some
Hmm.
sort of a speech to your robot, right? So now you have a complete and intelligent digital worker that can do a lot of the tasks that we're doing, can
Right.
also think for itself by
Hmm.
doing some sort of a decision making algorithm, can have an eyes to it that can read documents and other form of data as well, and even images, and you can have like some sort of speech recognition to it that it can recognize some sort of context from a conversation, translate it, and even as communicate it directly to you or whoever the end user will be, right? So intelligent automation is about the whole taking the whole concept of RPA or the whole automation itself and adding more or building more to it and having it be intelligent as it can be, right? By using or by utilizing all the other emerging technologies I've mentioned.
Right. Very interesting indeed. I mean, it's actually very promising, as I could say. As you mentioned, we could actually use this into some of the future businesses or like an extra hand to some of the businesses. But can you actually tell us like what are some interesting use case of intelligent automation?
Yeah, so on the span of my career, right, I've encountered a lot of very interesting use cases. But just to on top of my head, some of the things that we've built, my team has built. And there's a lot of interesting, like I've mentioned, there's a lot of interesting to it. I can't
Hmm.
even remember all the things that we've done, but just to cite some example of it. So we've built like a sentiment analyzer kind of digital worker wherein we have an intelligent automation solution that goes through the company's official Twitter, official Facebook posts, reading tweets, and have it go through a processing mechanism that generates like some sort of a report based on the
Hmm.
finding. So it can tell you like, hey, the recent post that you made or the recent tweets that you have executed, the sentiment is major 86% of the people are happy with it. With the
Right.
remaining 40%, 14% who are not really that excited to it, right? Or you can have it break down. Out of the 14%, this certain percentage are not happy, the certain percentage are indifferent, and a lot of things. It can give a lot of insight to companies to on how they can tweak or even go as far
Right.
as pivot on how they do marketing, how they do branding, and just to get like some sort of a pulse of the public, right? How the public feels about your company, how the public feels about what you're doing, and a lot of things like that, right? So these things are very important, and the intelligent automation solution we made for it really gives that kind of value. It gives you like steps ahead of your competitors by knowing ahead of time how certain tweets or how certain posts are performing versus how do you want it to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another interesting use case that I can remember is a resume reader, right? So if you think about it, there's a lot of CVs, a lot of resume. There's really no standard to it, and for
Right.
companies such as Quantrics, who we have like a BPO department or business or operations of our own, we our recruitment team has gone through a lot of these applications and candidate screening, and if you think about it, that sort of activity is very very prime for automation, because if you
Mm-hmm.
added some sort of machine learning or artificial intelligence to it, you can have a whole intelligent automation suite that goes through the whole ordeal of the application process, reads all the information from the CV or the resume, and this is where the vision that I've mentioned earlier comes in. It goes and read the document, takes whatever it can take, like all the details of the candidate, and give certain parameters or finding or even recommendation, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
can give all those data to the recruiter and tell, hey, recruiter, I have here 10 people who I'm recommending for this specific job post. Or you can
Right.
have a whole suite of, hey, out of the 100 people who apply to our company, these are the people who are very good in what they do. These are the people who have this kind of skills and a lot of things, right? So it can kickstart that kind of automation, having it started that way, and you can have it at the very most an end-to-end approach wherein everything is being done by that specific solution, and you can have the recruiter some sort of a just waiting for the information and data to come in and do the even go as far as conduct the interview. But all the helps, right, all the things that I've mentioned are not only helping the company who's utilizing the said intelligent automation, but also to the user who's applying, right? Because
Right.
the time it takes for a candidate to be assessed and for it to go to the next step is also going to be faster, right? The overall experience is better, right? So it's not only
Right.
for us, it's not only for the companies that who utilizes this, but a lot of people, sir, it's a win-win for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And the last thing that I would probably mention as a as an interesting use case is so we did like some sort of a fleet administration automation, intelligent automation. So
Mm-hmm.
we have this kind of client wherein they employ a lot of delivery trucks, right? And and if you think about it, if you have hundreds to thousands of delivery trucks, there's really no better way for you to do some sort of health checks on them. Prior to the implementation of the solution, all of these things are being done manually, right? So you need to have
Mm-hmm.
someone who goes to the truck physically, check everything on its own, like probably have some sort of a checklist. And once that's done, you go to the next one. Just think of how tedious and how labor intensive that is, right? So what
Right.
we did is we partnered RPA with an IoT solution, Internet of Things, wherein we've installed some sort of onboard diagnostic monitoring devices to the trucks. Then that specific device sends out all the signals, it performs readings and diagnostics to the vehicle, and then sends all that data to the digital worker. The digital worker then collects everything, 'cause there's
Mm-hmm.
hundreds or thousands of it. It collects everything, it analyzes it, and it forms recommendation per vehicle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Based on this parameter set by the company, right? So if the company said that I'm only looking for these things, I want these things to be read. These are the thresholds for it. We've
Mm-hmm.
implemented it in a way that it's more of a proactive approach now rather than reactive. And that specific solution saved the company for about, I think, as much as 30% in terms of repair costs annually. So if you think about it, instead of not doing any type of health checks or doing like substandard health checks because the person who's in charge for it needs to do all of these things manually, and then you have a lot of repair costs because in along the road or during the delivery itself, the vehicles breaks down, and
Right.
it can be as costly as you can think of it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
employing such level of automation that proactively checks everything reduce the overall repair cost of the company by as much as 30%. And that's a lot, right? If you think about
Yeah.
it, if the readings of the automation or the digital workers tells you that, hey, I'm not recommending for this vehicle number 1001 to go out because of these readings, right? Then you can schedule the vehicle for a proactive repair or proactive maintenance, and you can avoid the costly repair costs on the road, or the costly when it breaks down, it's going to cost you more.
Right.
So a lot of these things are really, really good implementation of intelligent automation. And
Mhm.
I've always advocated that automation, if you get into it, it can be a gateway to all the other emerging technology there is.
Yes, that's right. I really wanted to dig deeper to what you're actually explaining. Again, it sounds really helpful to our future businesses, and it's really like the future of everything. And I wanted to highlight when you say it, this is like the
Mhm.
gateway of like other emerging technologies. Can we actually elaborate on that thing
Mhm.
what you actually meant by intelligent automation being a gateway to another emergent technologies.
Sure. So, uh, automation, right? If you get into it, if you think about it and you get into it, you can
Hmm.
start as like what I mentioned before, wherein you can start with a small scale as a robotic process automation. You automate some form of report generation, or probably some form of transaction that you have to automate and things like that, right?
Right.
But if you expand towards that concept and you start moving along to the intelligent automation space, or some part of the industry call it like hyper automation, you get into the other form of technologies as well, because it's like building, it's like you have a blocks, right? Let's say it's a Lego block.
Hmm.
You started with your very basic concept of what you're trying to do, and then you find out that, hey, I can actually expand this more, I can actually add more to my overall design to make it better. So if you think about it, the automation you've built and you've started, it can probably start as simple as you've made it, but once you identify the opportunity to expand it, and probably by being creative and using your imagination and how it can be better, you
Hmm.
can have it expand to other emerging technologies such as the artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all the other emerging technologies I've mentioned, right? Those are just
Right.
some of the most popular ones, but there are definitely others as well, right? You can have serverless computing added to it. You can have some sort of in-memory database as well added to all your automation solution. So learning automation in itself can give you the gateway to learn other kind or other forms of emerging technologies as well, right? So it's not only that you're going to be in the automation space, but you'll have experience integrating such or other emerging technologies to what you currently have. Right. So it's eventually gonna give you, or sooner or later, if you've gone through the automation space long enough, sooner or later you're gonna have a project, you're gonna have a use case where you have to utilize other form of technologies. And I think that's really cool, right? And that's really
Yes.
gonna be a lot of help to people, especially people who are only starting their careers.
That's actually correct. When you mentioned that it's like the future, this automation is like the future. Uh, like how does someone or wanted to be part of this automation prepare for it?
Anyone can prepare for the future, which is,
Hmm.
well, I think I've mentioned that the future is automation. Anyone can prepare for it by, of course, first learning, starting somewhere, learning how automation can help you and can serve your skill. There's a lot of very useful resources online that you can look up to. You can start with reading about what robotics process automation is all about, right? Then once you've have an idea on what RPA is, you can expand it by reading how RPA can be leveraged into other emerging technologies. You can check LinkedIn Learning. There's a lot of other cool resources as well that you can read and peruse so that you can expand your knowledge for it. But the preparation for automation really starts with joining a company that helps you not only learn this type of skills but utilize it in a lot of interesting ways, right? Companies that would give you an overall ownership on how you wanted to implement such project and such automation, and even go as far as give you the opportunity to be your own creative designer, right? Because
Right.
a lot of the companies, even companies that have some form of automation with them, try to limit all their employees on just having or doing like basic level or basic form of automation, right? And to prepare for a lot of these changes that will happen in the near future, you have to make sure you're equipped with not only one set of automation skills, but a suite of it, right?
Correct. Anything right now is available online. You could just try to Google it and learn. Learn and apply to some of the e-learnings. And as just wanted to highlight that for you to be able to learn and also maximize the things that you've learned online, you
Mhm.
wanted to be part of a company that actually practices it. Like it
Yeah.
gives you the real experience of how you actually use it. And actually, Quantrics is part of it. We actually do offer this kind of services. We actually wanted to enhance your skills as well if you wanted to be part of our community. But do you have like any tips for online community or for someone like our audience right now who want to be part of our team and want to like look forward to be part of Quantrics?
The major tip I can give to everyone is first, sky's the limit, right? So don't box yourself into thinking that this is the only thing that you have to learn or this is the only thing that you can do, right? That's why I've mentioned previously that you need to look for an employer who will actually enable you to learn, not only learn these things or learn these new skill sets, but also empower you to use it, right? Empower you to be creative and allows you to be part of something meaningful, right? So be a forward thinker, join a company that will enable you to be a forward thinker, and uh, allow yourself go crazy, right? Allow yourself to be
Right.
innovative as much as you can, and be creative as you can be, and help solve the world's real problems, right? Not just company, right? You can go as far as contribute into solving real world problems by bit into uh, lending out your skills in this type of things.
That's actually correct. I mean, this has been a great talk. And thank you so much, Fred, for giving us your time. If there are any job openings in your department, please invite our community, also our audience, and let them know how they can be part of the amazing work that we do in Quantrics.
Yeah, thank you for having me here as well. If you want to be anyone who's listening now, if you want to be part of the growing community of tech innovators for the future, head on to our LinkedIn account to see our pin post for all tech hiring roles. Right, we have a lot of openings. We have some hiring. We're hiring for some on-demand roles as well. Go check it out on our LinkedIn page. Aside from the amazing benefits, diverse, inclusive, and fun culture, your career growth is sure to reach greater heights here with Quantrics. At Quantrics, we actually make connections real, right? So, like I mentioned before, I think I've mentioned it time and time again. It's not enough that you join a company that will give you work. You have to join a company that will give you meaningful work, meaningful type of work, right? And in Quantrics, you can be sure that you're gonna receive that. So join us.
That's actually correct. I mean, here in Quantrics, we really make connections real. And if you wanted to be connected with our social media platforms, feel free to, again, follow our LinkedIn page. We do have TikTok, also have Facebook, Instagram. You could actually connect there. We could actually talk about any things that you wanted to talk about your tech career. We're actually open to talk with you guys or to talk to you community. So make sure you follow, share, like, and let your friends know that Quantrix is actually the future of your tech career. This is Tech Talk series on discovering future ready skills. Thanks everyone, and see you in our next episode. Bye.